Well, we started a very important conversation on the opioid epidemic, and so much good stuff that we decided to put it into two parts. And so today we're going to continue part 2 of the opioid epidemic conversation with my brothers Nick and Ryan. Welcome to Celebrate Recovery Official, a podcast that shares life-changing stories, courage, hope, and leadership wisdom, all centered around the Beatitudes of Matthew chapter 5 and the Celebrate Recovery principles, where Jesus helps us to face our hurts, our hang-ups, our habits, and even our relational struggles in our life as we turn our life and our will over to His care. Realize that our life is unmanageable, but He has the power to help us, and we matter to Him. Isn't that a cool thing to think about? I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with drugs and alcohol and perfectionism. My name is Rodney. I'm the Global Field Director of Celebrate Recovery, and welcome back to the Celebrate Recovery Official podcast. I want to pick up with a conversation, part 2 of this great conversation, talking with Nick and Ryan. They're state reps of Celebrate Recovery, but also leaders in their local church in Illinois and Texas. And before the break, we were hearing a pretty powerful, moving, heart-wrenching story from Ryan, and just his personal story, but also just the impact of family member that passed away because of this epidemic. And so I want to turn the corner, guys. Nick, I want to come back over to you, man. And we're kind of throwing out a lot of information here, and really stoic reality of the weight of this. If I'm listening and know where I'm at, and I don't know what to do with this, what's some kind of steps that I can take as a leader in my community, a part of my church, my Celebrate Recovery? How can I get involved? What would be some practical things that you would give to our listeners on how I can get involved in this process, man?
So specifically to Opioid Champions, we have a process set up for getting involved. For this conversation, the easiest way to do that would be to email opioidchampions@gmail.com, and then we would be able to reach out to you and get you set up with all the tools that you need. But if you're on a local level and you're not maybe looking to become an opioid champion or things of that nature, but you're looking for resources on what do I do, or how do I get these medications or the naloxone that prevents or reverses the opioid overdoses, how do I do that? The best answer that I can give you is contact your local health department. Your local health department and your behavioral health counselors there are going to be able to point you in the right direction. They offer training. They also offer resources, and depending on what state you're in, they will give you the naloxone or Narcan, as it's more readily known to be called, to you, so that you can have a safe place for your community.
Yeah. So I'd love to unpack that a little bit. So give me a picture, and I've seen this, we've done that here at our church. When you say offer training, kind of paint a picture. What are they doing? So you call them and say, hey, we want to do a training. What are we training for? And what's that look like practically? If I'm a leader in my church and I say, okay, I want to do a training, what am I training for? Can you just paint a picture for our listeners that may have never done that, Nick?
Sure. So we're training specifically for the opioid overdoses. So if you called your local municipality and they came out and did a training, and you had a congregation set up or a group of people that were going to be trained, they're going to train you on what to look for, prevention techniques, how to administer the naloxone or Narcan, as it's, like I said, it's more readily known, and what to do, because it's a crisis, it's an emergency. So they're basically, it's kind of like CPR, where if you're taking CPR training, they're telling you how to bring somebody back who may have fallen down or whatever, and how to resuscitate them. You're doing the same thing for that opioid, and how to resuscitate that person. So that's pretty much the gist of the training. For a large trainings, there are definitely PowerPoints and things of that nature that we use as tools. Definitely do questions and answers. And at an individual level, you can train someone on how to administer, or for the beginning, to see that someone's having an overdose, and then how to take action and what to do.
Yeah. So Nick, and I mean, whoever wants to answer this, I think one thing that would be good for me, and maybe you can speak, you guys are killing it out there. I mean, you're getting the word out. You're doing amazing things. I wonder if you could speak into, because it seems like there's some, and maybe I'm wrong, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, are there fears out there for church leaders in having these Narcan kits? And what are some of the things that you've run into as you're talking to church leaders? And if there's nothing, that's fine, we can move on. But are you finding some common fears, and maybe we can debunk those fears for church leaders that might be hesitant to have these, or maybe there's a stigma attached to it that you've had to educate people? What are some of those stigmas or fears that you've run across that might be a barrier or a blockade from people embracing this, and maybe even learning how to, and having some kits available in case this happens? What have you run into in that space?
I've definitely run into this. So a lot of churches or even businesses, they may not want the Narcan in their buildings, or they may not want it just because of the stigma. And the stigma is that Dr. John from down the street who attends our church could never do that. We don't have anybody at our church that's an opioid addict. Well, the reality is you do. And, prevention is the way to keep that person alive. And so I think that's one of the biggest hurdles is the awareness part of it, and prevention, and getting those tools into people's hands, instead of them saying, I only want a case which holds 12. I'm like, no, take 10 cases, because you never know.
Yeah.
Having too much is definitely not a bad thing.
For sure. I want to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I want to kind of lean into, to kind of turn the corner on, and we're kind of addressing, kind of putting some statistics out there here, and the impact on family members. I want to turn the corner and really lean into, what do we do with this information? How do we get involved? How can I, on a local level, no matter where I'm listening from across the globe, how can I get involved? And so we're going to turn the corner and ask these guys how we can do that practically. So stick with us. We'll be right back as we continue the conversation with Nick and Ryan. Hey, friends, if you're looking for an additional meeting in conjunction with your in-person meeting, join us every Wednesday at noon Pacific for our online open share. You can connect with people from all over the globe. We have a short Devo and a testimony, and then we split up into gender-specific groups so that you have another meeting, a safe space to process your hurts, hangups, and habits. Join us every Wednesday, noon Pacific. Go to celebraterecovery.com for the link and more information. We hope to see you this coming week. CelebrateRecovery.com. And Ryan, maybe you can answer this. Again, I'm just firing things out that might be some obstacles, right? Just so we can help people, to educate people. One of those things that Yeah, I'm going to let you answer it without me answering it in the form of a question. But so one of those things that can be one of those stigmas, kind of the stigma has many layers of a definition. And Ryan, maybe you can speak to this being a personal struggle here. To the person that says, if we have this and they're continuing to use and that kind of deal, it feels like we're enabling them. We're keeping them stuck in that. We're giving them license to keep doing what they're doing. Ryan, what would you say to that to bring some clarity and some education to someone that might be in that mindset that we're enabling by using Narcan on someone that could be overdosing?
You gave me the big softball on this one. That is a big stigma that we deal with, and we've talked a lot about this from the beginning, which is just that, we're gonna, everybody has to make their own mind up on this subject, and I'm not going to try to make it for somebody. For me personally, I want to save somebody's life until God brings their heart to a place where they're ready to save their own. Right, where they're ready to step into the right decisions. That's me. I mean, I just shared my story. I mean, Narcan saved my life on the way to the hospital. I actually also had another overdose that I did not share about that was not nearly as severe, but I was in the hospital, and Narcan completely saved my life with that one. And, I just think that, when you have that stigma and that perspective, listen to my story. There's so many stories out there of how God can come to someone's heart and life and change them, and they can impact the world in amazing ways and give back and serve. The big one for me is Celebrate Recovery. But yeah, I think it's sad is that we're going after the one more, right? And I know that's difficult. I understand that it's hard when they see somebody that's overdosing and getting saved, especially with the process. But in my heart, I think, I'm going to keep trying to save the one more. I'm going to keep saving the one more until they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. And I think, it kind of it's just an important thing. It can feel, that of course you want to save a life. I mean, every life, every soul matters, right? But I'm just thinking about if we had a video footage of you in that life, Ryan, we probably would not recognize that guy compared to the guy that's sitting here. and I think it's good to, of course we wouldn't recognize that guy. But that's really in all areas of recovery, right? I mean, we look at the old is gone, the new has come, the new is here. If I took a snapshot of Ryan's life then, it'd be easy for me to say, well, he must not really want to be free. He must not really want to walk in freedom. But knowing you were just sick in that space, and that's so important that that's why we need Jesus. That's why we have Celebrate Recovery. We're trying to create a safe space to help the lost be found, the blind to see again, spiritually, that whole thing. And so it's easy to look at the old cover and make a judgment, but just be mindful of that the next Ryan. And again, I know many of you don't know who Ryan is. Probably after this, you'll probably know more about him and know of him. Nick is the same way. I mean, all of our recovery stories are that way. But if you could see and just have the hope that one day maybe a Ryan of today could come out of that muck, man, it's worth it. And if we got to go through some ups and downs to get you there, let's do it. And if it keeps you alive, and I love the way you said that, until they want to live, right? To keep them alive till they want to live. And you were in a space where you were in a hard space, and thank God that you are here today. So to me, it's that hope of holding on to, they may not know what the future holds, but God does. and we just do our part. It's not our place to judge. We just do our part, holding up their arms when they can't do it themselves, as somebody did for you, Ryan. I praise God that somebody did that. So Nick, back to you, man. You mentioned the resources. Is there a particular type of Narcan? Because I know there's different kinds, like in there, like nasal spray. I mean, is there one that you have found, or does it matter? Is there one that you have found that is a better resource, or is there ones that are free and ones that are not? I mean, are you kind of boxed in? You got to go with this kind because they're free? Or tell me about that. Are there different kinds, and what's that look like?
Sure. So there are different kinds. There's different brands, but it's all the same medication. It's naloxone, which is the medication which was approved by the government for use in 1971. It's been around for a very long time. Prior to nowadays and now technology, it was a shot that was given to you. Now it is a nasal spray. It looks just like any other
Afrin.
over the counter Afrin, yeah, or Flonase or whatever. But yeah, the number one brand is Narcan. It is the most widely used. It's the most widely seen. It's the one that people know of. They don't necessarily know naloxone, but they do know Narcan. It's becoming super readily available. It's over the counter. It is also being put in vending machines where it's free in many states. Now, the laws are different in each state, which is kind of hard to put into words here in this conversation, but it is out there for everybody, and it is the best one that we know of is Narcan. Now it comes in a box, it's small. It has 2 doses in it, and like I was saying earlier, having too much is never a bad thing, because the fentanyl that's coming into our country and taking such a grip right now, it is taking multiple boxes of the Narcan to revive the person. So definitely having it and having enough of it is key.
Yeah. So can you speak to this, Nick? And I'm loving this conversation. I'm just imagining just if we can educate people, there's a competence and a confidence that comes with that will help me to take that step forward that I need to. But what are some of the things, just even thinking back the first time you had to administer this to someone, I'm assuming you guys have done that. What were the things, I'm just trying to check in with the heart of the administrator, right? It's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And just the angst that can come with that. I'm kind of scary. I mean, we have to be honest about it. It's scary to see somebody overdosing in front of us. What were some of the things that were coming up for you in that space, and maybe some words of encouragement to kind of process the angst and the emotions that come with that on that side of it that will keep me present with that person? Maybe you could speak into that from your personal experience, and on the other side of that, what were you sitting now with that?
Okay. So yeah, it is scary when somebody is overdosing. You may see them nodding out to begin with, but their lips are going to turn blue. Their fingernails are going to turn blue. Like Ryan said, his face was turning blue. And that's from the lack of oxygen and trying to bring somebody back. And after you've been trained, and the first thing that we do, number one, of course, is call 911. But number 2 is we take our hand like this and we do a sternal rub, like right here on your chest, real hard. And if that doesn't wake you up, that person is out, because that hurt.
Yeah.
And doing the nasal injection, once you administer the nasal injection, there's a period of time in between when you do the first and the second. And if that person doesn't snap out of it within the first minute, or it's actually going to be really quick, they're going to snap out of it, because what happens in the brain is the dopamine that's stuck to the receptor is going to get displaced, and that naloxone is going to get in the middle of it, and it's going to wake that person up. It's going to stop that. But if they don't wake up off of the first dose, you're supposed to wait up to 1.5 minutes. And that 1.5 minutes is going to be eternity when you're watching somebody who looks like they're dead. Well, they are dead, and then if you wait another 1.5 minutes, and if that doesn't bring them back, you wait another 1.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're waiting to make sure they're in a, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I cut you off.
It's okay. But yeah, you definitely need to make sure that you're prepared for it, because it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I love that you're giving us such great stuff. And a lot of this stuff is going to be covered if you get someone to come in and train. So don't be overwhelmed if you're hearing this going, wait, what did he say? What do I do? The training is going to help you, but we really just want you to hear, in recovery, sometimes it's really messy, right? And we can do one of two things. One, we can bury our head in the sand and act like it's not there. We do this when we're having conversations around suicidal ideation, right? It's like, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it can be scary. But if I can equip you so that you feel confident, then you got a better chance of leaning into that rather than running from it. Ryan, I'm thinking about just people leaving her by herself, probably just freaked out, right? And not that that's right, but what we want you to do is, instead of abandoning them and leaving them alone, is to lean into it and honor that this is scary, because it's a life we're talking about. But what you're doing, if we can give you competence and confidence, you can lean into that. And these tools can help get this person back to a safe space where they can do the recovery work that we're trying to do in Celebrate Recovery. So just wanted to honor the emotions that can come up. So if you feel anxiousness, if you feel fear, welcome to the human race. It's okay. But what you're doing is a very important thing. And that's why the training can be so essential. But, so let me, as we kind of turn the corner here and wrapping up, guys, just thinking about both sides of this, somebody that is on the fence. Maybe they've been hearing about this and it's like, but that, I don't know, getting the training. What would you say to them? Or the other side of this, somebody is in the middle of battling opioid addiction, right? And they're listening. Maybe somebody shared this. I hope somebody shared this with you, especially if you're struggling. Maybe Nick, why don't you speak to the person that may be on the side of getting the training? And then Ryan, I'd love to hear from you an encouragement that you might say to that person that might be in the middle of it, in the addiction itself. So Nick, let's start with you, man. What word of encouragement would you give to that person that may be on the fence about taking the steps to even just get the training, let alone trying to figure out how to be a champion in their community? What word of encouragement would you give them?
I would just say in all realness, it's no different than helping somebody that would be having a heart attack that you come across. CPR, you walk into somebody who's having a stroke. It's being a human and taking care of your fellow humans. I think that's the big aspect of it. Taking the training is easy. Being strong, and if you do encounter that situation, be strong and be diligent and make sure, bring that person back, because that person, no matter what they're doing, they didn't want to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Good word, man. And give me that email one more time, Nick. Is it Opioid Champions at Gmail?
Is.
Okay. Opioid Champions with an S opioidepidemic@gmail.com. If you want to get involved in your community to help us with this movement in your community, because it's going to take people on the local level. We're talking about global and regional level. We want you to help us on a local level be a champion, really a champion ministry. We want the ministries to be champion of this epidemic. So, Ryan, give me a word of encouragement. The listener, they're listening. They hear my voice right now, and they're in the middle of this addiction. You know, the shame that comes with that, and just all the fear and all the angst that comes with that. What's something that you would, what's some words you would give that person that's in the middle of it, struggling with this addiction, man?
I guess, I would say to them that, I've been there. I have experienced what it's like to feel completely mastered by opioids and feel there's no power left in yourself to get away or stop. And I have felt that there's no hope, that I'm not getting out. But I would just tell them that, I've almost been sober for 10 years now. I love my life. I love what I do. I love my family. God has blessed my life, even through all the mistakes, everything I've done wrong, everything you think that separates you from everybody else, that nobody's as bad as me, or it's just not true. There's so many people out there that have gone through what you're going through, and Celebrate Recovery is an amazing and awesome resource to find healing and hope and community, because I know that's what I needed.
Yeah, well said, and congrats on your sobriety, brother. Guys, I just love you to death, and I thank you for just your passion. Thank you for your hearts and ongoing diligence to help get the message out to people. I know our listeners are blessed, and I thank you for what you guys are doing on a local level. We love you guys. Well, I want to just say thank you to our brother Nick and Ryan, and just their hearts. Gosh, what two great men, and they're just two guys of many that are leading this charge. And you'll be seeing us on this team, our champions, on our Celebrate Recovery official Facebook page, talking more about this, and we'll have some more conversations around this. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have questions, opioidchampions@gmail.com. Ask your state rep, and we'll get you connected to the right person so that you can learn more about this important mission, this outreach opportunity to get people to Jesus so they can experience healing from their hurts, habits, and hangups. Hey, thanks so much for being with us today. I hope it's blessed you. Hope you'll join us next time. Until then, God bless.